Hi everyone. So tonight I wanted to share how I budget. I've had quite a few comments or just like little things said kind of throughout the years, saying, wow, like you really must have a rein on your finances. And I do enjoy budgeting. I like knowing what I have available to me. I like knowing that I don't have to stress about paying bills, that I already have them kind of accounted for in my budget. So I wanted to share with you how I personally budget and why I do it the way I do. I know budgeting is very personal, and it is definitely something that every person's in a different scenario and situation on how regularly they receive income, what that income needs to go to. So I have kind of thought about this, and I'm going to do this in the way that makes sense to me. It's going to be a little bit more generalized than like it totally always is. But I thought I would start with just kind of explaining my personal financial situation and what my monthly income looks like. My monthly income does fluctuate some. So I do have a full-time job, and it's a salaried position. So I do know what I'm going to make each month. With that, I only get paid monthly for my job. So I get paid on the last business day of the month. And what I do is when I get paid on that last day, that money all goes towards paying the next month. So for instance, it's January when I'm filming this. I'll get paid on January 31st. And then the money that I get, that is what I am using to pay my bills in February. So that's kind of something that I've had to do because of when I'm getting my income and how it aligns with my bills. And because of that, I have reorganized my bills to be coming out of my accounts earlier in the month, like within between the first and the third, but most of them are on the first, just so that I know it's being taken care of and I don't have to worry about that. So that is my primary source of income. Additionally, with that, I do travel for work and I do receive a stipend, and that's on a scheduled basis. It has to do with when I get reimbursed. So some months I get stipends, some months I don't. Sometimes I get more than one. It just really depends on like how my schedule has worked out. So I have a column for that, and I'll show you what all this means kind of and how I organize it. And then I also have a second job. So I work this second job, I don't know, 1 to 3 times a month. It's very kind of casual, if you will, but I do receive an income from it, and I get paid bi-weekly for that job. And so that one, depending on how much I worked, I may have more or not. It kind of depends on where it falls into that 2 week pay period, if you will. So I kind of have a variety of income coming in, but my primary income is from my main job, my salary job, and that is what I use to make sure all my bills fit into. And then anything extra coming in, I kind of treat as extra, and I'll talk about how I do that. I do save some, and then right now I'm focusing on paying off some debt. So the rest of that money from what I'm not saving is being thrown at debt. I have a car loan that I want to focus on, so that is kind of the goal I have. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this camera around. I personally do my budgeting on a spreadsheet, and I like Google Drive, and so the Google spreadsheet, because I can have access to it whenever. It's just associated to my email, so my Google Drive. And I think that it's also helpful for those of you who may share your budget. So maybe you have a spouse, or maybe your roommates, and you are all in a budget for like your bills or your rent, or whatever the situation may be. It's nice because you can just share the same spreadsheet, and then they have access to it at any point in time too. And I just think it's really convenient. Again, I travel, and so sometimes when I get paid on the end of the month, I need to do all of my budgeting things, and I might not be home. And so I don't want to have a notebook that I need to remember to bring and like worry about leaving somewhere or something like that. I prefer to have it on the computer. That's just my preference. Okay, so I'm going to get the camera situated and get my spreadsheet pulled up, and we'll talk through how I have it organized and what I do to stay on top of my budget. Okay, so this is how I have my budget set up in my computer. Before we go into the details of it, I wanted to quickly just go through why I have my columns and rows set up the way I do. But the very first thing I wanted to mention, and another thing why I really love my budget being in a spreadsheet, is that I just do a tab for each month. And so it makes it super easy because I can just copy like my main columns and paste them into the next tab over, and then I already have the hard work done. And it just cuts down on time, and I really like it. Okay, so up at the top here, I have in the first column my anticipated expenses. The next column is what, and the third column is where. So I put the dollar amount of what I anticipate spending, what I'm spending it on, and then where it's going. So for instance, this is my mortgage. I do pay, so I guess I should start here. In the parentheses is the minimum payment I need to make on my mortgage. I do choose to pay more than that, just to help chip away at it. So that is a manageable number for me. So this is what I pay, but this is all I owe. As far as where, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. So the first part is what account do I need to move this into, and then where am I moving it from there. So when I get paid, I have it dump all into one bank account, and then I sort it out from there. So I have a second bank account that is my bills banking account, if you will. So basically what that means is that is where I have all of my anything like my insurance, where it's going to auto pay out of there. My credit cards come from that bank account, and that's kind of how I route my money. It goes into that bills account. And once it's in the bills account, it usually doesn't come out. There are two exceptions to that, and we'll get to that. But that is where I transfer a big bulk of my money, is to that bills account. From there, I then have kind of where it's going to go. So for instance, I actually have my mortgage at a different bank. So I forward it over to my bank account at the other, it's a credit union actually. So I forwarded the money, or wire the money from my bank account, the bills bank account, over to my credit union, and then that takes the money out for my mortgage. For instance, this one is my HOA. I do live in an association for my townhouse, and so I have dues, and that just comes right out of this bills checking account. CIT is another bank that I bank with, and it is a high interest savings account that I have with them. So if I have any annual bills, like I truly only have to pay them once a year, I do put them into my monthly budgets, and then I just put them over into this CIT or SIT, I guess I just call it SIT, bank account. And I let it sit there for a year and earn interest on it. And then when I need to pay that bill, I'll take the total dollar that I owe out, and then bank on and save that interest that I made over there. So AmFam is my insurance company for my car and my home and my umbrella policy. I have my car payment. Again, I only owe $337 a month, but I choose to pay more than that. So I budget for $400, and that goes to my, I have Volkswagen. And then for utilities, I know I do this a little bit different than other people, but with my utilities varying quite a bit, and also with my travel schedule, when I'm not home, my utilities definitely go down because I'm just not home to use as much heat, because I turn my thermostat down and have it on hold. I don't use water. The electricity is not going. So my bills are actually pretty low some months, and then they may be higher other months when I'm home for an entire month. So I budget for $200 a month, and I just let it sit in this bills account, even if my bills end up coming in less than $200. And that way, when I have months that are a little bit higher, I have the extra already in this bank account, and I don't have to really worry about it. So this number for me is a comfortable number to be at. But I would say if I didn't travel and I had a steady kind of idea of what my utilities would be, I would definitely break them out further. Then on my phone, I'm on a family plan, so I transfer $61.24 to my mom each month. I put Netflix and Spotify together, and that I pay off of my Discover card. So I make sure that goes into my bills, and that I'm making sure that I pay that on Discover each month. So now I get into my groceries, and actually my spending is the same. You'll see that it has bills and then weekly. So what this means, again, I get paid once a month. So for me to stay on track, because if you give me $160 at the beginning of the month, I can guarantee you I'm not going to make it the whole month on my groceries. So I give myself $40 a week for groceries, and the same for spending. I get $40 a week for spending. So both of these dollar amounts, the $160 and $160, go into the bills account, and then every Friday morning I transfer $80 into my bank account, my debit, the checking account that my debit card is linked to. So what I do then is I have $40 for groceries and $40 for spending. If my groceries come in under that, great, the rest can roll over to spending and I don't have to transfer anything. And I prefer to use my card because I use the Acorns app, which takes your change, or I guess not your change, but it rounds up your transaction. So if I made a purchase for $2.75, it would round it up to $3 and take that $25 and invest it into my Acorns account for me. So I do prefer to use a debit card, but I truly only keep my weekly balances in my debit card. I don't keep anything else in there. And once it's gone, it's gone. So that's kind of how that works for me. So that's why this weekly is here, because each Friday I give myself my allowance, if you will, for my groceries and for my spending money. Okay, the next one is my gas, and this is a bills, and I use my Capital One card for my gas. That is the card that I've designated to use for that. Here I have cash. This is my only cash category, and it says Miko. That is my cat's name. So I budget $40 a month for him. So that's for his food, his litter, and then also his annual vet visits. So typically I don't go through a whole $40 each month. It's closer to like $20 really. I might have some months that are lower and higher, but on average it's about $20 a month that I spend on his supplies. And then the other $20 I get to save for when I need to take him to the vet for his annual vaccines and checkup. So that is how I budget for him, and that goes into a cash envelope. And so then when I go shopping for him, because I go shopping at specific pet stores like PetSmart and Petco, because you can get discounts there, I bring his envelope of cash. But that's the only cash envelope I do these days. Okay, moving down, $50 to incidentals. This is in my bank savings. So I have 2 checking accounts and 1 savings account at my bank. And really I don't keep too much in there except for those bills, my debit card, and then which has my weekly allowance. And then I have kind of a slush fund that lives there as well. So I have $50 a month allotted to my incidentals. So this is, I need an oil change. I'm going to the doctor and I have to pay my $20 copay. It's just kind of whatever comes up. And typically for me, I don't have something like that come up every single month. So $50 a month really can add up over, 2 months, you already add $100 in there. So it really can add up, and it's just nice to have a good chunk of money readily available. I do put the rest of my money for savings into my SIT bank account just because it's higher interest rate. And I can still take money out at any time. It just takes a day or two to transfer over. So this is more of a immediate need, so that I guess worst case scenario, I could always use a credit card too, but I'm really trying not to do that. So that is something that I've been working on, just making sure that I'm building up this incidentals account so that if I need something, I don't have to stress about it and I can just take care of it on the spot. Okay, the last item, because we already talked about my spending when I talked about the groceries, is my savings. So I have a specific number here. I know it seems like kind of random, but it's 10% of what my income is for the month from my salary. So I take 10% of my take-home income and I put that into savings every single month. That's something that I've chosen to do. Over time, I'd love to increase that. I really love following Jordan Page from Fun Cheaper Free. She recommends saving 30%, but I'm just not at the point where I can do that each month. But 10% is something that's manageable. So that's something that I've been working on. And I don't have too many specific savings goals, but I do just want to keep building that up. Okay, and then I have my spending, and then I have my total. So what I do is I have each column for each time I'm going to get paid. So here I have my monthly paycheck, okay, from my salary job. I'm actually expecting a bonus. I don't know what that bonus is going to be, but we get an annual bonus, and then that is given out on the last day of January for us. So that is an extra column I normally don't have. I have my extra, so this would be the paycheck from my side job that I have, and then I have my stipend. So really I should add another extra here as well. But what I do is I have the date, the dollar amount, and then if it's something a little bit different like these ones, I'll have a little bit of a description here. So like I said, I pretty much live out of my main column here, which is my main salary. So I put in all of the dollar amounts that I owe, and then another thing with the spreadsheet that's super easy is you can just highlight and it gives you the sum of it right there for you. So then I put the sum, and then I see if I have anything extra. So I have $311.22 extra. So again, I'm working on paying down my debts. So here is where I can decide how much of this is going to go to which debt. So maybe I want to put half of it towards my car payment and maybe half of it towards a credit card if I have an outstanding balance. Or maybe, I bought something on my credit card, and since that has a higher interest rate, I want to just put this money towards it to get that back down. So this is kind of a little bit more up to me. I think as my situation changes with my debt, this will change over time too, but this is kind of my extra money that I need to decide what I'm going to do with. So going forward, let's say my bonus is $100. I still always will take 10% and put it into my savings. So if it's $100 bonus, I would take $10 here, and then here would be $90 for me to decide with. That's just a rule I've decided to implement, and it's been working really well for me. You'll be surprised how much you can save when you just save 10% of whatever you're taking home. Okay, so then the second part of the spreadsheet, when I scroll down, I have the different sections. So these are the areas that I actually need to transfer the money. Again, I have all my money coming into one account, and then I need to split it out from there. So all of these different spots where I could transfer money ultimately all come out of this bills account. All of these sections for my saving all go to my CIT account. And then I have cash, and then I have my bank savings. So what I would do is fill out like my 96013, okay, and then I have $22.56 going to my Discover card. I have $100 for gas going to my Capital One, and so on and so forth. So I would fill all of this out. Let's see how much I can do from memory. Ooh, I don't know that total. So let's just get this all set. Okay, and then I would total it up, and then I would put my total here in this green. So that tells me then, okay, Maggie, you need to transfer, $2,000 or whatever this total ends up being to your bills account. And you need to transfer this much to your CIT account. You need to get $40 out in cash, and you need to put $50 in that slush fund. It just makes it a lot easier when I see what I need to transfer, so I don't have to transfer them one by one. I can just do a lump transfer for myself. And then as I do all of these, so after I transfer them to my bills account, as I transfer this over to my mortgage, that's when I'm going to go ahead and bold it so I know it's done. When I pay my HOA dues, I bold it so I know it's done. When AmFam, my umbrella and car insurance, comes to take my monthly payment, I bold it so I know that it was taken. When I transfer this over to my annual, you kind of get the point. That's how I can differentiate, okay, what have I done? What do I still need to do? So that is kind of how I personally like to budget. I'm always kind of referencing this. I do like to kind of just get it done. I really, really love having my bills on auto pay and just having that separate bills account for it to be managed out of. It's just a lot easier for me, I guess, than having to remember passwords to all these different websites and to remember to make the payments by a certain time. This way they can just come and take the payment and be done with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions or anything down below. I'd be happy to chat with you about all of this. I really love finances. It's something that I can kind of easily obsess over. Like, I think it's kind of fun to see how much you can save, or knocking down your debt and all that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and it maybe gave you a couple of ideas on maybe something that's a little bit easier for you to manage your money. But thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.